Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's time now for City Matters right here on K1, the one you trust. If it matters to you, it matters to the city. It's going to be fun.
That was quite an intro there, Tom. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
How you doing, Mike Bailey?
I'm great. I'm great. We all had a busy weekend.
Oh, yeah.
We're great. Mm-hmm. It's good. Happy Monday, right?
What's the latest, brother?
So, latest, before we actually dip into the meat of the program, which is sitting to my right, named Terry Lawrenson, got a couple of things. So
Terry Meat Lawrence. There you go. Yes.
He's
You
right
put that
there.
on his badge.
He'll be most of the program this morning, of
Okay.
course. But so want to start out just real quick and congratulate Senator Daniels. Actually, I believe it was last week she received the 2025 Bill Lowry Library Champion Award. So this is issued by the Oklahoma Department of Libraries. And this was essentially for her work in the legislature championing libraries. So I just want to take a moment and thank her for that. That award was given to her at the library board meeting. So we got to be there for that and to congratulate her and to welcome her. But we wanted to give her a quick shout out on the radio as well. And so last week was actually a council meeting, and there wasn't a whole lot happening. It was just boring city business, which is how we prefer it. Mm-hmm. But really just city business. The only thing really of note from that council meeting was that we did make sort of a quiet announcement that the name of the golf course will be changing. It has been Adams Municipal Golf Club or Course for a very long time. And so along with our reopening of the course that involves changing our programs, we've got a new golf pro, Dee Rodman, who we've introduced everybody to. Dee has some great ideas for the golf course, but along with that, we wanted to shift the brand at the golf course. So the grand reopening of the golf course. We also wanted to honor essentially the founder of the golf course. And of course, for anybody who knows, that's Boots Adams. Boots Adams donated the land and made a significant monetary contribution to actually create Adams Golf Course. So it was Bartlesville's first and at that time only municipal course, and still our only municipal course. But that started with Boots, so we wanted to honor him. And so the first thing that we did was to come up with a name that honored Boots. And then we invited his two sons that are still here in the area, Kenneth and Stephen, talked to them about the idea, and they absolutely loved it. So we were glad for their support, and so that course will officially be known as Boots Hollow, and so we'll be switching from Adams Municipal to Boots Hollow here in the near future. So by the time we do our reopening, we will have a completely new brand. So we're excited. That golf course, we're expecting there to be an opening. I don't have the exact dates on everything, but it'll be towards the end of August. So keep an eye out for all of that. We'll have a community day. The first community day, or the community day, will allow people to bring their putters. We won't be able to play the course that day, but we'll let you putt on the new greens if you want to come out and see what they look like. It is significantly different. And then we will have a soft opening with limited tee times. Followed by our first tournament. So we'll have a grand opening tournament, and then it'll be business as usual out at the golf course. So looking forward to getting that open. I know that everybody who plays golf, trust me, I've heard from you. I know you're ready to get it open too. They're all very excited about it. So with that, let's go ahead and jump to what I'm sure anybody who's listening to the program wants to know more about. Over the weekend, we received an unfortunate announcement from ODEQ, and they placed the city of Bartlesville's water supply on a boil order. And I've got Terry Lawrenson here with me so that we can discuss this more. But essentially, there were several key components to that. The primary is that, Terry, we test our system. Is it monthly?
Well, we truly test it daily,
at the plant daily. But
right. So, yeah, I'll dive right in.
All right, I'll throw it over to him.
Dive right in.
He knows how he wants to say this, and he's not going to let me redirect any of it. So I'm just going to shut up, Tom. I know that's unusual.
No. Well, so to answer your monitoring question, so we monitor the plant not just daily, but hourly, minute. We have equipment that monitors those treatment levels. We monitor the distribution system daily for chlorine residual, so we check in different parts to monitor for chlorine residual. And then monthly, we perform bacteriological tests, or we pull samples. We send that to an independent laboratory to run those tests. We're required to do 40 a month at various locations within the system, really are remote parts of the system, because if it's good at the furthest point, then it's good everywhere else. So we do those 10 a week. So we do it, all the time, daily, and then weekly for the bacteriological assessments. And so last Wednesday, we pulled samples for the last 10 of the month. And one of those samples at 21st and Dewey came back positive for E. coli. And so that we were made aware of those results on Thursday afternoon. Friday evening, we talked with the Department of Environmental Quality. That's the first time we've ever had an E. coli test positive. And so we sought guidance from them on what do we need to do. Do we need to do an immediate boil order? What's the protocol and what's the process? We were instructed to hold off on anything, to resample that site, as well as sites adjacent to that site, send that in to the independent lab, get the results, and we'll go from there. So we did that. Saturday morning, we were made aware of the results of that resampling, which the original site that tested positive for E. coli tested negative for E. coli, but it still had the coliform bacteria, which is an indicator bacteria, harmless to us, but is an indicator of bacteriological growth in your system. But the adjacent sites that we tested were negative for both coliform and E. coli. So at the time we issued, we received those results, we received a call right around noon, or almost right around 1 from the ODEQ about the results of that test, and we were informed that we were going to be put on a mandatory boil order. And then I think by 1:15, 1:30, they placed it on the boil order. And I think we were able to get a press release that had some more context and information regarding that, what happened later that afternoon. But that started the kind of the whirlwind of activity that we experienced over the weekend. But when we received that first positive test for E. coli, we immediately began flushing that part of the system. I can't stress enough that no other part of the system tested positive for E. coli, for any kind of coliform bacteria. There were no anomalies at the plant. The plant was producing safe water, continued to produce safe water throughout this process. So that's in our press release. I put in there that I felt that it was an anomaly with the sample site, because the water was testing well everywhere else except that one specific location. But with the boil order mandate and the notice that E. coli is in your water system, I think the public interpreted that every drop of water was contaminated. Sure. There was no water safe to drink, to do anything with, which obviously was not true.
That essentially is the way the ODEQ protocol works, is that they err on the side of caution, and so they notify everyone who could be exposed. And in this instance, we don't believe that anyone truly was exposed. We believe it was an anomaly with that site. However, regardless of that, ODEQ, they out of an abundance of caution, they notify everybody who, not just on our system directly, but everybody we may serve, even though it might take 2-3 days for that water to even reach them, assuming it's coming from the same source. Yeah.
So on Saturday, we were able to get in touch with the decision makers at the ODEQ to find out what we needed to do to get off the boil order. So we had a plan of attack from then. So we continued to flush that area of concern, and then we resampled that specific location adjacent to that area, and then throughout the entire distribution system to represent all the water within our system. So we sent those samples Saturday evening to the lab. As a 24-hour test, that's just the way the test goes. We were made the results yesterday at 8 p.m. as far as everything tested negative. No coliform, no E. coli in any location that was sampled or tested yesterday. And so the state then released or lifted the boil order mandate. And so that's where we are today. There's a lot of work left for us to do certainly to understand what happened at that site. In essence, there's 6 ways that E. coli can be introduced into your system. And so if you're not familiar with E. coli, that has it's a bacteria, but its basis is in human or animal waste. So you can either have a catastrophic failure at the water plant where something is not treating or working disinfectant-wise. You can have a break in a water main that you depressurize to fix it, but something crawls in and dies in there. You can have a sampling error where the person taking the sample contaminates it. You can have a lab error where it's contaminated at the lab. You can have an anomaly at the sample site. So kind of going through the checklist, there was nothing that was abnormal with the plant. Everything was working perfect and is exactly how it should. There was no water main breaks in that area at all within the last 6 months. So there's nothing that could have crawled in and died. The person that we have pulling the samples is well trained, very familiar with that process. So I have no doubt that contamination wasn't from them. The lab is a state certified lab to perform these type of tests. They have all kinds of protocol and procedures in place to prevent that. So I seriously doubt that occurred from the lab. And so that left the sample site. If that was the potential point of where the E. coli came in. Now, the sample site is in essence a frost-free hydrant is what it is. So if you're familiar with the frost-free hydrant, it has a vertical standpipe about 3 feet long. The valve that operates to let water come out of the spigot is down below the ground, roughly 3 feet. But in that standpipe, above the valve that opens and closes that spigot, is a weep hole, a drain hole. And so we have speculated, this is all speculation at this point, we have nothing to confirm it as of today, but my speculation is that something had crawled up into that weep hole and died. It could be an earthworm,
Right.
It could be a snake, it could be something else, whatever the case may be.
Could be groundwater penetration.
Could be groundwater penetration, who knows what that is. But all the tests revealed that the only issue was at that specific sample site. If you have a problem with the water at one location, you're going to have a problem with the water adjacent to that location and even potentially further on. We never found that, never saw that in any of our testing. And so even to this day, we have not seen that. We're going to continue to monitor this area very closely, looking for different indicators. We'll run an assortment of tests on it to see bacteriologically what's going on with it. But at this point, we're going to go through everything very thoroughly, the plant, what was going on exactly with the plant, the protocol, all those things. We know there's no water main breaks, so that one is obviously crossed off the list. We will get with the lab to see what their protocols are in place to mitigate or to prevent a contamination. But we'll go through all those and very granularly to see exactly what happened, to hopefully identify what happened. But the second thing is if there's a deficiency somewhere, we certainly need to correct that so it never, ever happens again. So that's, we take the safety of our water very seriously. I drink it. My family drinks it. My kids drink it. Everybody at the water plant, they drink it. Their family, their kids, and so on and so forth. And so the safety of the water is utmost importance to us. And so that
is paramount.
That is paramount.
Public safety and the safety of the water.
Absolutely. So it's this was something that's never happened. It is unbelievably rare for a system to be working very well with no anomalies, and all of a sudden you get an E. coli. So that's I couldn't express enough how this is such an anomaly to see this. But in any event, we went through it. We're thankful, obviously, to the Department of Environmental Quality with their efforts to help us get off the boil order as quickly as we did. I want to personally thank Kelly Williams and Kelsey Walker.
Oh my gosh, yes.
They were our eyes and ears with social media.
Their weekend was over about 2 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, so they put together the press releases, the different FAQs, and they kind of waged the information battle on social media. So their efforts were fantastic over this incident. But our work is just beginning on it, and so we'll work very expeditiously, but very strategically as well, to make sure that we're covering all the bases to identify what was the source of it, and then to make corrections if needed.
So, and Terry, a few questions that I know that I've received, and you and I have discussed these, but I think it's worth sharing with the public. So, we're dealing really with ODEQ's protocols, and so
Yeah.
when certain things happen, it triggers other things, and those are designed that way for a reason. Again, with public safety in mind, and so they are always going to err on the side of caution. So, when we were dealing with this, of course, it was detected at one site out of 40 that we routinely sample. And it did test positive for E. coli that one time. However, there was no other test for E. coli nowhere else in the system or at that location again, which was part of, I think we're dealing with a protocol at ODEQ, but it surprised us a little bit never having gone through this. It detected E. coli and they instructed us to resample. When we did resample, it didn't test positive for E. coli, but tested positive for the coliform,
yeah.
which is sort of a precursor.
Yeah.
And so normally coliform does not trigger anything, but in this instance, it did trigger the boil order simply because there was a positive E. coli test and passed, is how we understand it. So,
Right.
so this was certainly new to us, which is a good thing that it's new to us. This is certainly not something you want to have happen in your system. So in your history here, has this ever happened?
Never.
Never. We've never had a single positive test for E. coli.
Never.
That you're aware of.
To my knowledge. And even testing positive for coliform
Even
is
that's
a rare incidence. We take 600 tests over a year. If we have one test positive for coliform, that's an exception. But with the positive test for E. coli, what the state terms a confirmation test, that next sample round for coliform, that's what validated and triggered the boil. Yeah, the boil order.
And it did, which I'm sure, again, dealing with their protocols, the ODEQ has a certain amount of time then to issue the boil order. And so, unfortunately, this one was on a Saturday. It made it difficult to communicate with the public. It made it difficult, in fact, to communicate with ODEQ because not all of their people were available.
Yeah.
So it was an unfortunate set of circumstances. I'm grateful to you and your staff because you were able to work through it quickly. And reassure the public, but even a day under those circumstances is certainly too much. So we're going to do our part to work with ODEQ and go through sort of an after action. How could we have done this better, and how could we work better with ODEQ? The ODEQ called our water plant about it was late afternoon or early afternoon, about 1:30, and that was essentially the same time that they issued the public notice. So we were notified pretty much concurrently with the public on Saturday, right?
Correct.
And so I know there was some concern why we didn't do more to notify the public. Well, as soon as we became aware of the boil order, we immediately worked to, first off, answer the questions. We don't want to put out information prematurely. So to try to answer the questions, I have to tell you, Saturday morning, I wasn't sure that ODEQ's website hadn't been hacked. I was so surprised by this. And so working through it, the positive test, of course, was on Thursday, and I have had people ask, well, why didn't you go to a boil order immediately? And the answer is we actually don't control that. That is ODEQ who does the boil orders, and they are the jurisdiction that is in charge of this. And their instructions to us were essentially to flush, resample, and then wait for the results.
To wait, right, yeah. So, I mean, that was our specific question right away is what do we need to do?
Yeah.
Is it a boil order? Is it an advisory? Is it what action? And they said resample. Once we get those resample results, which again takes 24 hours for that test to run, then we will go from there and advise you what the next steps are. So, we have certainly learned a lot in this process, and so I would anticipate there will be some changes if this ever happens again. Which, again, our goal and that's our prime directive in essence is for it to never happen again. But in that off chance that it does, to be better prepared for that, and so it caught us by surprise certainly when they issued it, and we were scrambling ever since.
Yep.
To one, get information out, but two is to fix it. I mean, that was the important thing.
First thing.
To correct that. So we had the dual tracks where we're fixing it and getting the public information so they can make an informed decision, understand what's going on with it. And so, again, Kelly and Kelsey really championed the information aspect of it, so that allowed me to really focus on fixing it or correcting it. So, again, that's I'm deeply appreciative for them and their efforts to do that. That helped me, and the water plant staff. They were out there and did a tremendous amount of work as well to check, verify, test, do all the things that we can do on site to make sure everything was where it needed to be. And again, all those tests came back good. Everything tested exactly where it needed to be throughout this whole process. So that's why we felt confident that this was going to be resolved very quickly. But again, we had to go through the process. We had to get the actual tests through an independent lab that certified everything as what we were seeing on our end as well.
So, in summary, it is the water safe to drink.
Safe to drink, so you do not need to run your tap. I think there's some thought about just flush your line, do anything. No, the water was always safe.
Yep.
So no need to flush your system, to run the tap before you take a drink. You can use water certainly as you normally would. Obviously, as a resident and a consumer of Bartlesville water, this shakes your confidence. It shakes your trust in the water department. That's something that we're going to have to build back certainly through this through the next weeks, years, months, those sorts of things. But you know, that's again our utmost priority is to produce that water that's safe, that's reliable. We have a staff that's very committed to that, extremely professional and knowledgeable in what they do, and we will continue to deliver that. And but we're going to find out what exactly happens so that we can, if we need to make a correction in some of our sampling or how our sites are maintained, then we will certainly implore those and make those happen so that we can avoid this in the future.
Well, as I said, I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to your staff. I'm grateful to Kelly. And Kelsey, of course. I'm also grateful to the City Council because they were obviously they were inundated with questions as well this weekend, but they were gracious enough to give us the time to do what needed to be done. So we kept them informed to the best of our ability, but at the same time they were very patient, and very understanding, very supportive through this. So it certainly wasn't an easy weekend for anyone. Again, this is nothing we've ever had experience with, which is a good thing, that we had never experienced this. But I think that's part of the reason that we were so caught off guard is that this is nothing we've ever had to deal with.
Right.
And hopefully we'll never have to deal with again. But in the instance that we do, we'll be better prepared. We'll understand better what the indicators are and what the ODEQ expects and what their reactions will be. I mean, I was very caught off guard by them declaring the boil order. At the same time, I understand that that's probably exactly what their protocols require.
Yep.
But understanding exactly what their actions will be in the future will be very helpful for us. So no teacher quite like experience, is there?
No, unfortunately not.
And this is an experience we don't care to repeat. But
no.
So anyone who has questions, obviously we've said it over and over, the water's safe, but there might be people who still have questions. What's a good number for them to call to get their questions answered?
They can call me directly, which is 918-338-4107. And so that's what we've put on the notice as far as if there's any questions to call. That is my direct line.
Yep.
I will return every call. It may not be right away.
It may
take a day or so to work through those, but we encourage, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to my
reach out
direct number. Now, if you want to talk to the city manager, you can always call him.
He knows less than Terry does, but he's happy to talk to you.
918-338-4282.
And if you have the city app, it's the Hey Bailey button.
Hey Bailey, that's right.
I told him to take that button off, Tom.
Yeah. So, or if you want to email your concern or email your question, certainly you can do so. I do ask that you put your name. I'm not responding to emails that have no name with them. So I want to associate. I'm kind of old school in that sense. I want to know a name with an individual so I understand who I'm communicating information with as well. So if you email your question, please include your name, and I will certainly respond back to it. If you send me just an oddball email with no name, no anything, it's more than likely I'm not going to reply to you.
Those are going to get the lowest priority. We want to ensure that we're communicating with the citizens of Bartlesville. They're going to get our highest priority during this. All right. Well, thank you, Terry. As I said, this has been quite a process that we've worked through here, and we're we're grateful to everybody who was involved in it, and we thank the citizens of Bartlesville for their patience and their continued trust.
Yes.
All right, well, I'm going to kick this over to Micah. You get to follow Terry. That's right, Micah. You're next up.
I'm usually last. I thought we were going to do Jason then me. Man, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
I had to shake it up. You need to look at my notes here. It says who's next.
They're upside down.
You can't read upside down the English? I can't read without my glasses, even though I wrote it.
I understand. I'm getting to that point.
So, Micah, we got a lot of projects going on around, and some of them very visible. The first things first, let's talk ODOT real quick. So,
okay.
Highway 60, which we call Adams Boulevard,
right?
ODOT has come out and done quite a bit of work on that from a construction perspective, which they hadn't done in a number of years. Right. So, the road is improved drastically, which is it's good. It was certainly in need of. However, this is a temporary fix, correct?
This is a temporary fix, yeah. So they actually have a project scheduled to completely reconstruct Adams Boulevard from essentially Highway 75 there at the overpass all the way out to 123 by the Research Center. So that originally was planned to be bid this last winter in January, February timeframe on their previous 8-year plan.
Yeah.
That got bumped 2 years to February of 2027 is when they have scheduled to let that project. So we have not seen final plans on that. I think there's a couple reasons for that delay. Some of it was funding, but also on the design side, they just don't have the design complete yet as well either. I'm not sure what hurdles they've run into there. I know that right-of-way is tight and there's some other issues. There's a lot of utilities through there.
Spotted worms, I heard.
What's that?
Spotted worms.
There's some spotted worms
you
we're
gotta
going to have to
watch
work around, right, that are protected, I'm sure. Not really, but you never know. You never know. Never know. Don't quote us on that.
Yeah, no spotted worms have been cited yet.
That's right. So I'm not sure what all the reasons for the delays were. I do know that in talking with their district engineer that funding was part of it. But again, we haven't seen final plans, so that's got to be on that table as well. So
we expect a complete reconstruction of the road, though, from 75 to 123.
That's correct. That is still the plan.
We haven't seen the plans yet, but that's the expectation.
There should be sidewalk and everything as well, and that's where the right-of-way comes into play as far as having some tight issues there. So that is still the plan. So they have gone through, and basically what they've done is they got enough funding approved to do the worst areas on that section through downtown. My understanding is, I'm not sure where it's at in the whole works of things, but I think they are trying to also find funding to do the portion between Highway 75 and Silver Lake. I'm just not sure what that looks like yet.
It would be nice. That area is a little, it's starting to separate.
It is. So I know there's a desire for them to improve that, at least for their maintenance crews and whatnot. I'm just not sure if they're going to get the funding for that or not. So feel free to reach out to ODOT for more detailed information. Again, it's not our project. We hate to put too much information out there and don't want to really step on their toes with that because it is theirs.
It is theirs.
We've talked about that in the past with them, that how much information should we put out there, but that is a temporary fix until a future reconstruction project.
So, and we've got a few road construction projects going on of our own.
We do.
Probably the most noticeable is a project that's essentially a preventative maintenance project. And I'm sure everyone has noticed it because it covers a lot of our well-traveled roads right now.
Right.
And this is a project that is essentially it's capping the roads. It's not a reconstruction. We're not milling and overlaying.
Right.
It's not additional asphalt. It really is just sort of a cap that will coat the roads, that will prevent, that'll extend their life.
We're trying to extend the life of them, right? So, for asphalt streets, sunlight and water really are your biggest factors in how they deteriorate. So as long as your subgrade is good, those are the things that break down asphalt. So essentially we're trying to extend the life of those by providing a measure that seals that off. It provides a good driving surface as well. So these are some of our major streets in town that are typically higher speed limits, higher traffic volumes. And so there's limited measures that you can do for truly preventive maintenance in those types of situations. And so this is one of them. It's new to us, really new to this area. We're finding that, maybe not ideal if you're going to have a wet year, which
it's taken a lot longer to get through. So it's actually a 4-phase project.
It is.
The first phase people will notice is that there's a crack sealing that they do. They go in, seal all the cracks up.
Right.
The second phase is essentially a thin overlay. It actually looks a lot like a chip and seal that you see in the county.
It's a thinner version, a little bit, not quite as coarse as what they do in the county.
And that from then there will actually be a sealant that's called HA5, and that essentially will return that road and seal it to that shiny, pretty black asphalt look that we're used to, and then the
Right.
final one is actually to restripe it.
Correct.
So for anybody who is wondering, is that it? We're not done yet.
We're not done
In
yet.
fact, I
We're
don't
not
think
done yet.
any of the roads that have started have been completed because the HA5 is very weather dependent, correct?
It is. It's very moisture dependent.
Yeah.
So if there's any moisture at all, and quite honestly, the crack sealing is moisture dependent as well.
Right.
Probably the least moisture dependent is the chip seal portion.
Yep.
But the crack sealing is as well. You're not going to seal cracks that still have moisture in them. They try to blow those out and get them dried out, but you just gotta wait for them to dry out. But then the HA5 appears to be really weather dependent. So they've really been trying to get on a couple of the sections for weeks now.
Yep.
And it just, when you get rain every
having
one to
just enough
1
rain.
to 3 days,
Yep.
Just about the time they think it's going to be ready, it rains again. So, again, that's maybe didn't really expect that. I didn't realize it was quite that weather dependent when we planned this out. But again, we didn't really expect to have the wet conditions that we've had. So,
This is an unusual year, to say the least. We're coming off of a couple of droughts, and here we are.
yeah, it's been great if we'd have done this a year and a half ago. It'd have been perfect.
Wouldn't
have been perfect.
Apparently, this is the rain dance, Micah. We need to do this every year.
Couldn't
We're
buy a
about to have
drop of rain.
drought.
Nobody was irrigating their yards. It was perfect. So, anyway, so that's we are not done. We're not done.
Not done.
I believe the first area they'd like to target for the HA5 is on Virginia. And so part of it was too. There were some subcontractor issues on the project.
There were. We weren't happy with them, and neither was the contractor.
Yeah,
that we
Holbrook
hired.
Asphalt was the main the general contractor, and they were not happy with the chip seal that was going down on Bison and Madison and Tuxedo. And so, with some pressure from us and also internally on their end, they've got a new chip seal contractor that's doing a lot better job.
Seems to be going a lot better.
They've done Virginia. They did the South Mile of Madison, and they will continue on down Price should get some good weather this week to do that. The crack sealing got out ahead of them as well again, finally. Got that going on No Water Road. And so, but the first round of HA5 should be there on Virginia. I've told them, though, if they can't get, there's some areas that hold water there on Virginia, so if they're still having trouble with that, let's get moved over to some other areas and just get it going.
Get somewhere else so we can get started.
somewhere else and get it going. So
Now the loose gravel that's on there, it's part of the process, and
Unfortunately, yes,
they
yeah.
sweep it off before they do the HA5.
They do.
We didn't anticipate that it would be down as long as it was.
Correct.
I know that some of it has actually washed off and probably into our drainage system,
Mm-hmm.
so that certainly wasn't ideal. Anybody who's noticed the sandbags and things like that at the edge of the drainage, that's what that's for. It was
Right.
to try to keep it out of the drainage systems. So they have cleaned up some of them, but
Right.
normally I believe they do that right before they apply the HA5.
that's typically how they do it, yes. And so we've been working with them on that to see if we can speed that process up as well. So again, it's a learning curve for us.
Yeah. And for them,
Taking some lumps on it, but I
they're
think
from
it's gonna be a
Utah,
good
and I don't
project.
think it rains there.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of it. Now I will say though, they've done this in Texas, they've done this in the Carolinas. I mean, there's areas that
Some other areas.
would be more similar to Oklahoma that have done this. So,
We're-
and quite honestly, there's actually communities there's Claremore, Stillwater, and Owasso have all used the HA5 product without the chip seal
Right.
portion. So more on residential streets and
Yep.
things like that. They've done that in Oklahoma, and actually those communities have been happy with it.
They
It's
probably did it
just-
during a drought.
They probably did it during a drought.
I guess droughts are good for something.
Potentially so. So we're working through it, and I think it'll be good in the end. I think in the long run it'll be good, but we're working through the growing pains of it.
Well, thank you, Micah. There's a couple of other road projects going on. Madison north of Tuxedo.
Yep.
That's going to be essentially a complete reconstruction of that road.
Yep, it's gonna look that road when it's done will look similar to where it goes in front of Sooner Park. It's gonna be a similar type road section.
And
so it's gonna
then-
be 2 lanes, a little bit wider section, curb and gutter.
And that really only goes up to about the water tower up there.
It
and
does.
then, but there is plans to do a level up and an overlay.
Already done. Keith. got
Already
on.
done. Well, Keith's that
While
fast.
you were on-
I'm
while you and I
behind.
were on
Yep,
vacation,
I go
you
on,
got
I
that
go on
knocked out.
vacation and get
Telling
out
you.
of Keith Henry's way. He'll get it
Grass doesn't
done.
grow to that guy's feet. Yeah, no, they got that done. It looks great. It looks very similar to what we did on Minnesota, and that'll last us
awesome.
a long time. And so we're going to tie in right at that point where he picked up, and with this project of
That's
full
good news.
reconstruction.
So Madison will be drastically improved north of there.
It will be.
The only other really big one we've got going on right now is Tuxedo Bridge. Of course, it's been
It's still
It's
ongoing.
been delayed, but it's still going, right?
It's still going, and we should wrap that up hopefully here end of July, first part of August. It's going real well. So we actually went ahead and advertised bids for the Sunset project to
Move
try
over
to
there.
transition into that one as well, since we've got a contractor up here. Again, not a guarantee that they're going to be low bid, but we're hoping that we get a really good price from Wildcat Construction since they're already in town. But
It'd
So
be
yeah,
good.
that one's going well. It's actually going really well.
Okay. All right. Well, Tom, I think we're probably about out of time here, but if Jason's got just a second, how's sales tax? And I know the answer, and I don't like it.
Sales tax is not well, down
It's not-
six,
not
6
great.
point-
It's not
almost
been a great month
6.5.
for us.
No, starting off the year this way, so that's down. Gosh, I don't. We're $110,000 below what we had anticipated
Right out of the
budgetarily. It's $150,000 down compared to previous
Last year.
Yeah.
And but use tax was
Use tax,
It was
that was
up.
down 6%. Use tax is up 9.3%. Obviously, they're not weighted the same.
Yeah.
Use tax is a lot smaller sales tax, but budgetarily, the variance, is $42,000 ahead of where we budgeted. So somewhat offsets about half of what we saw the decline in sales tax.
so not too terrible, but not good. Not a great way to start.
No,
Hopefully that'll
I was
reverse
looking
soon.
back at our historical. I mean, you go back to 21. We're right in line with 21. Pretty close to 20. I say 21, 22, fiscal year 22. Pretty close to fiscal year, 23, 24. Last year we just had a really large July, so
Yep. Sometimes that impacts.
I mean, it was good last year to have a large July. And
Always.
it kind of hurts our metrics starting off with this July.
That's the way it
So
always works.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Jason. And Tom, thank you as always. Appreciate you.
All right, folks, you've been watching and listening to our City Matters program on K1.
And continue on with the conspiracies and encourage them are doing the wrong thing. I know it gets clicks, makes money, but it's just leading good people down the garden path and it's hurting the country.
So one of the theories is that Jeffrey Epstein worked for the Mossad, and they basically have pictures of all these people, and everybody who works for the Mossad.
Truity Credit Union, a better way to bank, where members always come first. Experience the credit union difference today. Truity CU.